Hello and welcome to Mac Knows, where we discuss everything from do-it-yourself projects to homesteading to home repairs and to hunting. And today we're going to continue what we've been talking about. Last week we did a video on insulating the subfloors of this house here. And today we're going to talk more about how to insulate your heat ducts. And we're going to do that today with using Armax insulation and also foil tape. So why don't you join me and let's get started. Now I thought before we get underneath the home and get all covered in insulation dust and everything else that's underneath there, I just wanted to kind of show you a little bit about what this Armax looks like. And you can get this at most of your major retail hardware stores. They cost about between $11 and $12 for a 4x8 sheet. This is a 1/2 inch thick, which gives this our value rating of, I believe, a 3.4, for sure between 3 and 4. And you can see how on one side you have the foil on one side. So that's one thing we're going to use. The other thing we're going to use is this foil tape here. This foil tape you can get for about $15 for a roll. It's 2.5 inches by 50 yards, and let me tell you, this stuff works great. As long as you've got a clean, dry surface, this thing will stick to just about everything, or anything I should say. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to get in here, and I'll show you what I do with the ductwork. Okay, sorry about the lighting and the camera work. Don't have enough lighting over here, but you can see where I have taken this heat duct and I've framed it in. And as I talked about last week, I can't tell you how much, just in a couple spots where I sealed up some air leaks and insulated it, it has really jacked the pressure up. Not the pressure, I mean the temperature. It was probably running about 85 degrees out of the heat duct, and I did a measurement with a heat gun, and it was close to 100 degrees after doing that. I still have about 24 feet or so of this to do, but as I said last week, the reason why you see a lot of this insulation on the ground is I suspect that before we bought the house, someone had a issue with water buildup on the condenser or water buildup on the air conditioner, and it actually filled up the ductwork. And there you could see some places down there where I found some holes where it had been drilled to get the water out, and the water, you know, obviously got on this insulation and it got heavy and it came down. So this whole area here in the middle was gone. There was no insulation at all, and I used this Armax. I put new insulation up. You can see that video that I did on that, and then I put Armax up just to give it another barrier. And I can tell a difference in the dining room just by doing that. So now we're gonna go ahead today. I'm gonna do an 8-foot section here, kind of share with you how I do that. I'm not claiming to know exactly how to do that. I guess you could say I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. So if you have any questions or comments, please put them in the comment section, and we'll go from there. So, all right, I'm going to go out and I'm going to cut some pieces. I already know what I need. This is a 16-inch duct, so I'm going to cut my pieces, and then we'll come back in and start putting it together. Okay, I got my pieces cut. I didn't think you guys need to figure out how to do that. I just measured what I needed, used a razor blade, and went ahead and cut it. One thing I will share with you, I did talk about this last week, is please make sure when you go underneath a home like this, where you've got fallen insulation. I mean, I don't know if you can tell, it looks like it's snowing under here, and that's the fiberglass material that's floating around in the air. And you really need to invest in a halfway decent respirator. You know, wear your PPE, wear your protective equipment. Just make sure you're wearing that so you don't you know, start inhaling this stuff in here. I've got a couple respirators where the outside of it is just completely caked brown. It was a white respirator, and that would have went into my lungs had I not been wearing that. So I'm going to go ahead. I've cut these pieces that I needed to length, and I'm going to go ahead and start taping these pieces up. It's too hard to do with one hand, but I'll kind of show you my progress as I go along. Okay, this will at least give you a little bit better view, a little bit better idea how I'm doing this. So again, this is that foil tape I was telling you about. It's pretty sticky, kind of like aluminum foil. And I don't have my scissors down here. I got to use a razor blade, but still get the job done. And so basically, I'm taking this piece and I'm taping it up. Like I said, this stuff really tapes well. You just have to make sure that what you're adhering to is dry and clean. I've already gone through and wiped this down, and it goes pretty quick. Doesn't take long at all. Push up. One nice thing about using this R-Max over something like how it was before, this used to sit like this. Well, again, you gotta get moisture buildup throughout the season, especially in the summertime. You're gonna have some potential issues, and this thing is gonna get some condensation potentially on it, and that's just gonna eventually over time cause problems and get moisture in on this insulation. Now, I could be wrong with that. I'm not an expert, but from what I've seen, this by far I think works better, and you don't have to worry about down the road condensation building up, or you know, insulation getting wet and coming down like what we've witnessed here. So I'm going to continue doing this, and then I'll show you what I do on the sides. Okay, now I got this side piece put up right now, but now I got to really get it taped up and get it so that it's taped up underneath here, and then taped up so it's pushed up against the ceiling part as well. So we'll go ahead and do that. But really, like I said, this stuff's pretty easy to use. And it does make a big difference. As I said before, I really saw a significant improvement in the heat on the heat register. Now that could have been not only because I insulated this, but also I did take care of some holes, and especially a couple crevices, a couple gaps at the ends of the at the end of the heat duct. I could tell I was getting some loss, some heat loss. So I'm sure that was a big deal too. So again, this doesn't take very long. We'll go ahead and get this other side. what I used to do, well, what I've normally done anyway, is I haven't put the Armax up down at the other end, and I was framing this in, and I would take this all the way up above where the Armax is. But I think based on having the Armax here and closing this and kind of encasing it in will kind of take care of itself. There may be a little bit of insulation issues there, but I don't think it's going to be anything major. So, all right, I'm going to continue doing this, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. Okay, well, we got that part done. Now what's left is on the back side, and it's going to be a little bit difficult to get back underneath here, but once I get that done, what I've done here is I've cut this insulation in slits, and basically to coincide with the gaps in the floor where the 16 inches is between, you know, the 2x8s. And what I plan on doing after I get this done is I'm going to cut this about half the length, and then I'm going to curve it up and push it back up underneath there. That will, well, first off, get this off the ground, and second, it'll keep any air from getting in underneath the subfloor. So that's kind of what I got going on. Again, I've done probably 32 feet of this, and I've probably got, probably 18 or so more feet to go. So I hope this was helpful to you, and as always, please click like, subscribe, and I look forward to reading your comments. Take care.